Dzogchen Semde Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Come, let us explore the folly of the CIA's emotional suppression before meditating like a Jedi. Or perhaps I should say, and then meditate like a Jedi. So, the CIA has a lot of operatives around the world under a lot of pressure. They did a study to analyze the secrets, the common denominators of the most success, the operatives who were able to cope with stress in the least disruptive manner. What they found was that those who seemed the least bothered by what they were doing or what danger they were in were those who deliberately reframed their emotional sensations as merely physical sensations. Sounds great, sign me up. What could possibly go wrong? Well, it helps to remember what are the CIA's priorities. Are they a spiritual group? Are they a philosophical group? Are they trying to ensure that their operatives are the most ethical and wise and peaceful individuals on the planet, not just in the present moment, but for the rest of their lives? No, of course not. The CIA is a monstrous entity run by sociopaths that uses sociopaths to commit atrocities around the globe in service of U.S. capitalism. So I don't want to be an efficient sociopath. I want to be the happy and well-adjusted person that my dog already thinks I am. The Buddha taught that the seventh fold of the Eightfold Path is mindfulness. The Buddha taught that the first enlightenment factor is mindfulness. Ignoring our emotions and only noticing our physical experience is turning our back on mindfulness. Well, allow me to share with you a visual aid. By the way, all the visual aids I use are available for free download. Everything I do is free. The true mindfulness, the only way to practice mindfulness is to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Once we begin indulging our own rigidity, superstition, fear, controlling tendencies, we have lost sight of the path. One moment, if you please. The only way to successfully, if we can use that word, to successfully indulge our controlling tendencies, to ignore our emotions and only notice our physical sensations, is to practice the active focus that is supported only by the part of our brain known as the medial prefrontal cortex. The more we use or overuse this region of our brain, the more we cannot help but begin presenting with symptoms of depression no less triggering our amygdala, the seat of both anxiety and aggression. And now, folks, we understand why the fictitious character of James Bond had such a love affair with vodka martinis, because he was trying to cope with the results of his other coping mechanisms. I don't want to be like James Bond. I want to be like the Buddha. So now that we know what does not work, let us explore the method of processing our emotions that is truly sustainable. I'm going to hit button 9. And now I'm going to hit the right document, hopefully. Okay. The confusion of neuroscience is clarified when viewed through the metaphoric lens of neuroscience. Did I say that wrong? The confusion surrounding meditation, the confusion surrounding mental health are often clarified when viewed through the lens of neuroscience. Let's do that right now. Consider, if you will, the lowly spinal cord. Yes, it has two components, but overall, its fancy name is autonomic nervous system. Kind of like an automobile, but not. Using techniques like the CIA's reframing experiment relies on us actively competing against our own autonomic nervous system to be vulnerable. One of the most glorious subversive things we can do, glorious subversively, having trouble conjugating the words. One of the gloriously subversive things we can do is to take a break from our exhausting habit of actively competing against our autonomic nervous system and instead cooperate with it vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. How? How do we do that? Totally simple. We're going to begin with the first aspect, or the first of two components of our autonomic nervous system, which is required for our practice of mindfulness, which the Buddhists seem to feel was crucial. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired to automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, whose fancy pants name is the nexus of our sympathetic nervous system. It is evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics, all of mind's antics, perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings, be they external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. How's about a rule of thumb? How about this? The most efficient way for us to watch the antics of mind, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, is for us to silently and mentally recite the verb watch. Every time we feel our chest gently swell with breath. Yes, we've noticed what we're experiencing, but what do we do with what we're experiencing? How do we process that which we are experiencing? To do that, we rely upon the second of two components of our autonomic nervous system, which is crucial to our practice of meditation. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we have evolved to effortlessly and automatically access both the attic region and the basement region of that same spinal cord. These two regions, working as a team, have a fancy pants name, and that is the nexus of our parasympathetic nervous system. It has evolved to help us relax to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and even fleetingly as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Now, any good English teacher, I'm thinking about mine when I was way back in fourth grade, any good English teacher will remind us that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. I'm a sci-fi geek. If someone uses a sports simile on me, my eyes will glaze, my jaw will hang, and a line of drool would descend from the corners of my mouth. But if someone uses a Star Wars or a Star Trek or an Expanse simile on me, man, I'm right there with them. So, a relatable simile to the idea of a non-graspable empty void would simply be something like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand. Jock or geek, we've all walked outside and seen the sky. And so we see that the word emptiness or the idea of selflessness or no self are simply metaphors to describe the fleeting experience latent within each exhalation. And now you could ask, I see some questions, I'll get to you. So now we have to ask the question, is there a rule of thumb? Is there an easy way to make sure that we can rest in mind's fleetingly non-graspable aspect? Yes, yes there is. All we gotta do is silently and mentally recite the verb rest each time we feel our chest subtly sink as gently we exhale. We could do this sitting, we could do this standing, we could do this lying down, heck, we can even do this making love. But if you are really shaken up by the events in your life, past, present, the stuff you're anticipating, if it's really baking your potato, then I earnestly implore you to do this while taking a brisk walk around your block. Because if you're agitated, you might not cross the street with the utmost of skill. But if you're walking around your block, that's pretty safe. So there you are, walking around your block, silently and mentally reciting the verb watch as your body naturally breathes in. You're not forcing anything. Silently and mentally reciting the verb rest as your body relaxes. We're not concentrating. We're not counting breaths. We're not trying to sync anything up. We're just going for a brisk walk. So our job is not to make the mistake of indulging our rigid or controlling tendencies to concentrate on our breath. That would increase our anxiety and aggression, which is not what we want. Instead, we treat our breath the way a piano student treats their metronome, just as a timing device, so that when we notice our body's breathing in, we can play with the verb watch. When we notice our body's breathing out, we can play with the verb rest. If the autonomic nervous system notices and releases automatically, why bother with these words? Good question. Here's the answer. After a lifetime of being programmed by our capitalistic society to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. We sometimes need to use a technique, a device, a shoehorn, a gimmick to remind ourselves to cooperate with the processes already in play. Playing with the verb watch does not make us watch. It simply helps us to cooperate with the watching mechanism already in play. Playing with the verb rest does not force us to rest. It merely aligns our intention with the resting mechanism already in play. Now you could say, dude, I rested. And during the next inhalation, I was activated again. And the answer is, yes, you were. This process ebbs and flows like the swinging pendulum of a grandfather clock. You don't content yourself to taking one breath your entire life. You breathe many times a minute, all the minutes of your day, all the days of your year, all the years of your decade, all the decades of your life. Our job is not to run away from what we feel. Our job is to process what we feel so that we can be the happy, healthy, well-adjusted people that our dogs already think we are. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. 4. Meditate like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers, just like